Welcome back to the Michigan Out of Doors podcast. As always, I'm Tyler Mihai, alongside Justin Tomei and Steve Wyndham. Logan Schultz is currently out bear hunting. He should be back on the next episode. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud. We have a video version on YouTube, so if you're not subscribing, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And we now have an Instagram account, so make sure to give us a follow at Michigan Out of Doors Pod and tag us in all of your hunting and fishing successes.
Like and share.
Do I get access to the Instagram?
No.
No?
Absolutely not.
If you listen on YouTube Music, email podcast@mucc.org so I can prove a point.
And this episode is brought to you by Onyx. The Michigan Out of Doors podcast is proud to partner with Onyx Hunt. Join the millions of hunters who trust Onyx Hunt to help them fill their freezers. Create hunt strategies for your property with custom waypoints, view wind forecasts for individual stand sites, integrate with cell cameras, and so much more. Onyx is essential for hunters to understand property lines, find and e-scout public land and other hunting spots, and all of the other tools to give yourself the best possible chance at a successful hunt. All current MUCC members are eligible for a 1-month free trial of Onyx Elite and an additional 20% off your annual membership. New MUCC members will get a free 3-month trial of Onyx Elite in their welcome email when signing up. To find your current membership discounts, log into your MUCC member portal and click on the memberships discount link to see all of the benefits of being an MUCC member. Join MUCC today to take advantage of these offers.
Perfect time to be a new member and get 3 months free of Elite, especially with hunting seasons here.
Hunting season tomorrow at time of recording. Opening day of bow season.
Speaking of 3, this is our 3rd episode now.
Yeah.
Welcome back, fellas. We are very excited for archery season starting tomorrow as of recording.
Yep. And then it's 4 months of bow hunting.
Yeah. 22 deer you can get in the parts of the lower peninsula anyways.
So you're going to get 22.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
I'm aiming for 22. Shoot for the moon, you end up dead in low Earth orbit. So,
Isn't it that you land among the stars?
no, because the stars are way farther away. So,
In space, you just keep going, though. You don't stop.
in theory, yeah. Then you're gobbled up by something. This is not a space podcast, though.
Unlike your arrow, it stops when you hit the tree behind the deer.
Yeah. Well, I'm hunting a hayfield tomorrow, so.
Okay, so when you hit the ground.
Yeah, hit the ground. Anyways, well, I guess we'll get going with what we always start with, was our policy, which is one of the other benefits of being an MUCC member, is you get access to me, our lobbyist, and I get to tell you all the fun stuff going on in Lansing. The legislature was actually in this month, the first time since they passed the budget in June, and they actually did natural resources legislation. So we were in Lansing last week testifying on Senate Bill 803, which is a pretty simple bill. It just extends the sunset on the Michigan Pheasant Release Program an additional 5 years through 2031.
Do you want to explain really quick what the pheasant
Yeah,
release
so
is
the
as well?
Pheasant Release Program was legislation passed in 2021. MUCC supported it, and it created the pheasant stamp, which you need to hunt on state game areas, and then it created the money from that stamp goes towards purchasing pheasants for release on certain state game areas with suitable pheasant habitat. It's been a pretty successful program, kind of incrementally growing through COVID and as the program matures, and now it's getting to a pretty stable place where everybody is happier with where it's landed versus maybe where it started. Had some bumps in the road, but the sunset would have ended at the end of the 2025 release season, so January 1st, 2026, and this bill, assuming it gets passed, will extend it to January 1st, 2031. So give us an additional 5 years. And I think the reason they want to do the sunsets is one of the legislators on the bill kind of just likes programs like that coming back to the legislature for review every handful of years. So self-contained, self-funded program. We testified in support. All the support at the committee here, all the testifying at the committee was positive. So
Does it expand the release sites? I know that happened a couple of years ago. They added more sites to it, but does this new vote do an expansion?
The bill deletes 2 words and deletes 2026 in 2 places and replaces it with 2031. That's all the bill does. So the actual release sites and the number of birds depend on how many birds are available, the cost of birds. And the department did add a handful of release sites over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. The statute does mandate that it is suitable habitat for pheasants. So they can't just go put them everywhere. It needs to be somewhere that pheasants may exist anyways. Or may not, excuse me, that's not right. not the right way to say it, where they could exist would be better. So suitable pheasant habitat.
Well, habitat's always the key in all wild game, right?
Mm-hmm.
In restoring and growing.
So the other legislative thing going on is tomorrow, October 1st, I will be testifying via Zoom, because it is opening day of bow season, in support of Senator John Cherry's bill to create a kind of woodcock restoration plan. This is a bill he's put forward a couple of times now. MUCC does have policy to support this woodcock restoration plan bill, and the bill would require the department to meet with a handful of stakeholders, including MUCC. We are listed in the legislation to create a woodcock restoration plan with population goals, habitat goals, things of that nature. So we'll be testifying in support of that tomorrow as well.
Does that have a geographical mandate to it, or is it just, again, have a suitable habitat for the...
So that one is much more specific. It dictates, what kind of habitat inventories, population densities. It's a whole thing that I think that off the top of my head, I just read the bill again. I can't remember. I think it's like 2 years or something to create the plan.
Okay, so there's a whole period before anything would actually be in effect that are going to do this whole surveys and everything.
Yep, and then they have to bring it back to the legislature every few years.
Okay.
Review it every 5 years, update as necessary. But this is to create a comprehensive plan for woodcock restoration in the state. NRC wise, so October meeting is the 10th in Marquette, up in the UP. So be ready to make the long trip for that. It is almost all fishery stuff up for action. There are some gear regulations that they're making change to protect whitefish, because there's been enforcement issues with whitefish snagging. So they're looking at changing some of the hook regulations and then closing spear and bow fishing in these three piers. They're these very, very isolated specific areas to protect whitefish spawning. They're doing some warm water species adjustment, bass, some pike stuff too, kind of places where there's stunted growth, changing some size limits in an effort to increase the quality of the fish, the quality of the fishery. So it's just to help populations, help angler success, angler satisfaction.
Yeah, and most of those liberalize.
Yeah, most of them would be like going from whatever the pike limit is in that particular lake now to no size limit, and only one over 24 inches. So they're trying to remove the stunted fish from the fishery, so that they can just kind of have a healthier, bigger population, bigger fish, make anglers happy. This is again something MUCC has policy on, kind of generally, where there's these stunted fish to support this kind of newer form of management. So these are generally positive things. The other big one probably is going to be the spearfishing. So currently there's some underwater spearfishing opportunity in Michigan in a few isolated areas. And they're not looking to do anything dramatic this year, but what they are trying to do is extend the sunset 1 year, where it's set to expire in March of 25. They want to change it to March of 26, meet with stakeholders, interested parties, anglers across the state, and look kind of maybe at a more comprehensive approach to underwater spearfishing in the state. So that's something that will be happening next year. And just to make sure that there's no loss of opportunity while they digest all the data, talk to stakeholders, they just want to extend the existing program for 1 year. And that's the bulk of what's going on at the commission. Again, it's October 10th in Marquette. We will be streaming it on our Facebook page as our technology allows us to do. We're working on better audio options as well, trying to get in on the DNR's audio system, but so far it hasn't been going great. And but as always, we'll be streaming it, and so watch on Facebook if you can't. As always, if you want to contact the commission about any issue, you can email them all at nrc@michigan.gov.
So use your voice.
Use your voice.
Or let us use it for you, or we can carry it forward. All right, so the legislature is actually working. That's good.
Well, they're done now.
Well, they're done now for a little while
They
longer.
worked.
They worked for 3 days, which is cool.
So I guess to give everyone a kind of looking forward at the legislative stuff. So the anticipation, there may be some odd and end committee stuff over the next few weeks. But really on November 5th, the general election, they might meet that week. They'll probably meet that week and maybe the week after, and kind of set up what they're going to do in December. And then they'll probably leave for deer hunting break, I call it. Deer hunting, Thanksgiving, that late fall break. So it'll be in a week or two in November to set up whatever they're going to do in December, which we call lame duck because it's the end of session. December lame duck is going to be either really boring or just absolutely bonkers. So it entirely depends on the outcomes of the November election. And, if the Democrats hold the House here in Michigan, it will probably be a little slower because there won't be any urgency on their part to do anything. If the Republicans win, probably a different story. And I would imagine the Democrats are going to do a lot of stuff in lame duck just to get as much of their agenda done as possible before relinquishing control of one of the chambers.
When do we hear about, or when do we find out about, like, NRC appointments and anything like that on that level? Because I know there are some terms that are up, and does that follow the election process, or when are those appointments made?
So there are 2 commissioners whose terms expire at the end of the year, and they can stay in that seat until an appointment is made for their replacement. Okay. If they are reappointed, then technically their appointment is subject to the advice and consent of the Senate. But if they're reappointed, then they can serve until that hearing happens, and they presumably will be voted in because it's all one party control right now. So if it's another person that is appointed, the governor could do it at her leisure, and that person, same thing, once appointed, would be able to serve immediately. I can't remember if it's 30 or 60 days off the top of my head where they have to have
until the hearing.
And then if there's a hearing and they're, again, presumably approved, then they would continue serving. But if they're appointed, if you got appointed, on January 1st.
There's 60 days till the hearing has to happen.
Yeah, and if there's no hearing, then you can serve, but you can start serving immediately.
Well, and then if there's no urgency to make an appointment, the person whose term has expired just keeps serving until the appointment's made?
They could, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That seems weird. All right. Well, the NRC for you. Make sure to reach out, email, be polite and cordial, or yell at Justin, and he can help you phrase it in a better way.
The commission, too, is very good about it. Most of them are very good about engaging with the constituents. So if you are, again, cordial, respectful, oftentimes they will get back to you. So you will expect a response from at least one of them if you do send them something.
Well, Marquette in October is not a bad time of year to be up there either. I don't feel bad for you having to go and do that.
The big news is that I'm going to go from Marquette down to South Escanaba where my bear mount is. I'm going to pick my bear mount up on the way home.
We're going to have it on the next pod in the video?
No, because I am not hauling that thing. I'm not hauling that thing to Lansing.
Bring your bear mount in and put it in the background?
I'm not super excited to even have to drive it from Escanaba. It makes my trip a lot longer. But 2 years ago when it was in Marquette, I went and I left the NRC meeting and I got on the road, started going, and it turns out that like 20 minutes behind me was freezing rain. So by the time all the department folks were leaving, heading back down to Lansing, they were just driving through terrible weather. And it was the same thing second week of October. So hopefully there's good weather. I don't have to mess with that.
Take your squirrel gun. Squirrel hunting.
So there's receptions the night before, Citizens Advisory Committee meetings in the UP. Like from the minute I get up there to the end of the commission meeting, I will be busy. So no time much on, because then I got to get home, get back to Kalkaska, see my dad. So
keep deer hunting.
That is the plan. Yep. I'm going to stop in Kalkaska and deer hunt for the weekend.
Nice. All right, a big thank you to one of MUCC's newest partners, GK World Championship Calls. As a proud 100% Michigan-based company, GK has built a reputation for delivering customer service that is second to none. With some of the most accomplished callers in the world, they have been successful in winning every major title on the goose calling circuit. GK is also proud to be a sponsor of numerous hunting organizations all over North America that make it a priority to get the young men and women involved in the great sport of waterfowling. They strive to educate the youth on the importance of conservation, safety, and respect for the sport. MUCC members receive 20% off their order with our exclusive discount code found in your MUCC member portal.
Very cool. We should do a staff education or an education day and have them come and teach us how to call.
So they're actually coming in to camp next year, and they're going to be doing a youth calling seminar.
Oh, cool.
Where they're going to give all of the kids at camp on that week a free call, and they'll come in and teach them. Steve could definitely benefit from that as well.
I don't think they should do it here. I think we should do it in some cornfield somewhere.
Yeah, or
that's not a bad idea.
At a lake or a marsh.
Or a private field.
Much better than doing it in our office in Lansing. Because with our luck, we'd call in birds and they'd fly over and we can't shoot them here. So
that's true.
Yeah,
we'll be sitting in the office and hear the damn things honk over us.
Mm-hmm.
No, we see the 8-point walk out in the backyard here recently.
We've got a couple really nice bucks.
There's
here
a
at the
nice
office.
buck back there.
But most importantly, I got a text message from a landowner this morning. There were 5 deer in front of my tree stand at 7:40 this morning. So tomorrow was opener. 2 of them were bucks. He said they were kind of sparring, and it looked like 3 does. So that's the bucks we need to get excited about. Those are the ones that are fixing to get shot.
Okay, well, you better not come up short or miss.
I mean, hopefully not. I'm taking PTO all week to hunt every morning and every evening except for one. So
Well, we can finally get excited about bucks too because we already
I
got our
me in the
does.
freezer.
Good for you guys.
What'd you get, Steve?
No does.
No does.
No does for Steve. So
Last weekend was early antlerless. Justin and I both had success. We could probably, just tell your story of how it all went down.
It was probably the most boring deer story I've ever had in my entire life.
well, where were you? What
I
was
was-
the
so I
weather?
was at-
How was it?
I was at my buddy's property in Mesick. It was super foggy. I've never really seen anything like it because the fog would blow out, and then I have video of like the next patch descending. 5 minutes earlier, 5 minutes later, I wouldn't have been able to shoot this doe. It was just so darn thick I could barely see 50 yards. And I'm sitting out on this. I'm sitting in a box blind in a huge field. I mean, I can see almost 300 yards to my left and 200 yards to my right. And the field's like 130 yards across or something. So it's just a big field, and the deer cross this field to get to bedding area from all the feeding. And just sitting there, not seeing anything in the fog, and I'm like, oh, there's a deer. And she was coming in facing me, and I go, all right, she doesn't have antlers. That's the first check. She doesn't have spots. That's the second check. And so I pick up my binos and put it on her, and I go, I don't see any buttons. And it was, it wasn't a huge, it was probably a 1.5-year-old doe, last 2023 fawn. And, I actually knocked her down, and she got up and ran off. And then, so I'm tracking her, and there's good blood, and then all of a sudden blood just stops. And it's just the thickest, nastiest stuff in front of me that I've ever seen. Like, I can't see through it. And I'm like, where did she go? So she either went this way or this way around it. And there was no blood this way, no blood this way. And so when I walked to the left, I'm like, where the hell did she go? I just cannot find any more blood. And I look down, and I can just see her tail. She went straight through this briar patch.
Oh, man.
Landed underneath a bunch of pine trees. I mean, and like I said, for those looking, I'm making like 2 softball size, with my hands. And that's all I could see of her. So we got her. She went about 60 yards was all. So it was a good weekend. We just took her to the processor. First deer I've took the processor in probably 15 years.
Yeah, weren't you just bragging
Yeah,
last episode about how
exactly,
you
you
never
were.
go to the processor?
So I got back to camp, and we're sitting there, and it's starting to warm up. The sun's up in the sky now, and I look at my buddies, and I go, guys, we got 2 options. Go drop this off at the processor and be done with it, or or sit here and butcher deer in 80 degrees all day.
No thanks.
All day, a couple hours. We took it to the processor and came back, watched college football, and hung out.
Came
And
back to
then-
the camp.
Came back to camp, and then that evening, there were 5 of us in camp total. 2 other guys got does too, so we went 3 for 5. One guy just passed. He was just kind of out there to hang out with us, and so he had a few small does in front of him, and he passed. And then I don't think the other guy actually even saw anything. I don't know. He was.
What were you shooting?
I had my 6.5.
Okay.
So I had my Howa 1500 with me. I have a Bergara that I'll be using this year, but I haven't mounted the scope or anything yet. So I had my Howa 6.5 with me. And yeah, it was actually the first deer I've shot with that rifle that didn't just drop. So I knocked her down, but then she got up and ran. And we're pretty happy with that cartridge for deer in Michigan.
Meat in the freezer.
Meat in the freezer, 1 down, 21 to go.
So you took it to the processor, which means no sausage party.
No, we didn't do sausage party this year. Nobody had any leftover meat, man. I passed so many deer last year because I had my bear meat. And then my buddy Brad, I think he only shot one deer last year. Noah shot like 2 really small does. So we just didn't have any meat to do a sausage party. I ordered 10 pounds of hunter sticks.
Nice.
So I gave up a bunch of my burger for that, but that's all right. I'll
Hunter
get
sticks
more.
are better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get a deer this week probably, hopefully.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that fog on that Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was the same thing. I was downstate. I was in Charlotte, and I didn't see a deer on Saturday because I mean, when I got there, I mean, first of all, driving out, you know, it's only a 25-minute drive for me, and I was on the highway, and it was 5:30 in the morning, and I couldn't see 40 yards in front of
Yeah.
me. I mean, like even the cars oncoming, you couldn't see their lights until they were 100 yards
Yeah.
away, and I've never seen that before.
It was crazy.
Pea soup.
Yeah, because she came in straight at me, and I probably first saw her at about 80 yards, and got my binos up on her or whatever, and she was kind of trotting, and she got to about 60 yards, and there was a trail that goes like perpendicular to the way I'm looking across this field, and she hit it and started going down it. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't. If there was a deer on it earlier, I wouldn't be able to see it. It was crazy foggy. It wasn't so bad the next morning. Still a little fog, but it cleared up nicely. But what about you? You shot deer too?
Yeah, so I went out Saturday morning, like we said, didn't see a deer. Crazy fog. I had them on my cameras a couple hours before in the middle of the night, but then, you know, nothing happened. So went out Saturday, didn't get anything. Came back Sunday morning. You know, I almost didn't go out Sunday because I thought it was going to be similar with the fog.
Yeah.
I was a little
Rookie
nervous.
mistake.
Well, not a rookie mistake
Well,
because I went
would've
out.
been.
It would have been. Yeah. So I get out
Rookie
there.
mindset.
Yeah. I get out there early Sunday morning, and literally as I park my truck, I check my phone, and they're on my trail cam, which is, you know, my food plot is right next to the tripod that I was hunting. So I walk maybe 30 yards and I get more pictures, and I'm like, well, I can't go out to the stand. So I just stood for probably 25, 30 minutes, about 100 yards from my stand, waiting for them to get off camera. I didn't want to bump them, so I sat there and waited as long as I could. I finally was requesting pictures. Nothing was showing up, so I said, okay, whatever. I'll try to make the walk out. I walk in, I get in my stand. Right as I get up to the top, I turn around and I see a flash of a whitetail, and so I'm like, okay, I bumped all these deer.
them.
Yep. So I figured the day was over. Sitting in the stand, you know, it's probably 8:30, and it's, you know, it's actually a beautiful day. It was perfect out.
Had it cooled down overnight a little bit?
Yeah, honestly, I
It
mean,
did.
by the time I got out there, it was 57, 58. I mean,
Okay, so
was
it dropped,
actually,
yeah.
Yeah, it was actually fairly cool, and then it didn't get to 70 until, I don't know, maybe noon.
Yeah, even on Saturday night when my buddy shot those deer, as soon as that sun got behind those trees, you felt it, and it was cool enough. By the time we got back to camp, that we had no worries hanging. I mean, we still put ice in them, but we had no worries hanging those deer by that time. It cooled off pretty dramatically once that sun went down.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, it was perfect conditions, and I was sitting there for, it was only a couple hours, but it was almost too quiet, where I was like, you know, I bumped these deer earlier. There's no chance they're going to come back. You know, and honestly, in my head, I was getting to the point where it's like, okay, well, you know, I've got other work to do around the property that I could do. Nothing's going to come out. So I'm honestly sitting on my phone. I was texting you, just kind of scrolling through social media, not paying attention, getting ready to get down, and all of a sudden I look up, and these 3 deer walk right out of the brush, and it was in the spot that I never thought they would walk out of, and it is, you know, so they must have been coming from, we have a creek that runs along the edge of the property, so they must have been, you know, bedded in the creek area all morning, and it was the 3 deer that I bumped too. I recognized them. So all of a sudden I look down, and there's 3 deer 40 yards from me, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I raised my rifle. I was watching them for a minute, and there was one that was noticeably bigger, so I, you know, she was facing me, so I had to wait for a second. I finally got her broadside. Took the shot, double lung. She ran about 40 yards and dropped, and, you know, it was pretty clean and pretty easy. And, yeah, by the time I got her gutted and in the side-by-side and loaded up to my truck, I mean, it was like 9 a.m., and it was maybe 62.
Okay.
So you know, I really wasn't too nervous about meat spoilage or being too hot or anything. So, got her to the processor, you know, by 10 a.m., and yeah, it was a nice weekend.
What were you shooting?
350 Legend.
Okay.
Yep. So it was the first time, actually, this was in the pictures I posted, you can see it. So it was a double lung, and it was actually a pretty clean shot. I don't know if it hit a rib or something else, but if in the picture I have of me holding the deer on the ground, there's like, it looks like a cyst in the, almost like the back.
Like it
right
tried to exit, but it didn't exit.
So it got right to that last layer of skin, and it didn't exit, and the bullet mushroomed right there and just sat there. So it was actually kind of cool. It's the first time I've recovered a bullet in a deer. So cool. I literally just, you know, one little slice on the skin, and I pulled the bullet right out and
Somewhere I
got
have
it at home.
Somewhere I have the 243 projectile I shot my first deer with.
The casing or the actual?
The actual projectile.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I don't get projectiles on my deer now. I shoot the Hornady ELDX, and they hit and then just
They shatter.
Yeah.
and they just do so much internal damage.
Yeah, and I was
Very
shooting.
clean.
I was shooting a Hornady. What did I say? I don't remember.
You just had the whitetail, American whitetail, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So it's hollow pointed. Yeah, it was kind of cool to see that. I was a little surprised it didn't fully exit, especially at 40 yards. I thought it would be more than enough velocity and force to get through, but no. So that was kind of cool.
Do you guys wear gloves when you got your deer?
No.
It depends on where I'm at. Like when we go up to Moorestown and the Deadstream Swamp, my uncles always tell me to. But like locally downstate, I don't usually tend to. But I know people who say that you could slip your knife or the blood is blah blah blah. But I've never done it growing up. There's just certain spots that people tell me to, and maybe.
So I keep nitrile gloves with me, and then I always just forget about them when it comes time. But I went to go gut my deer. My buddy's like, "Hey, do you want gloves?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't have them with me." And he goes, "Oh, I got some in my bag." I go, "Cool." So he tosses me this pair of gloves, and I start putting them on, and I can't even get them down
Little
to my
baby
thumb.
hand gloves.
They're like extra small. He goes, "Oh, they must have been my girlfriend's for something."
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's his.
So I didn't even get them on. I'm like, "Oh, this was a waste of time." And I remember I was doing my bear. I had my gloves on, and I'm shoulder deep in this thing.
You should have had the big cow inseminating glove.
and that's
the
I
big
look at
shoulder
them.
length ones, right?
I look at them because I told them when I started, I said, "Listen, I'm a wizard at gutting deer, but I've never done a bear. You need to tell me what to do." And they're helping me, showing me what to do, and I'm just shoulder deep, and I go, "Why the hell do I have gloves on?" And they go, "Makes you feel better."
Yeah.
And I pull my hands out and do this, and there's blood pooling in the bottom of each fingertip of the glove. It's just completely worthless.
I wore gloves the first time I ever gutted a deer, and I think that was more just because I was nervous. And I did it by myself. I'll never forget to learn how to gut a deer. I just watched Ranella has a video on YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
and I
yeah,
watched it like 7 times in a row and memorized how to do it because I've never had anyone to teach me.
Yeah.
And so the first time I was nervous and I had gloves on, thinking that was. And then after that, I was like, I don't need these.
Do you use the butt puller or do you cut it out yourself?
I cut
You
it
just
out.
cut, yeah. You don't pull the.
I knew somebody that did that, and they said it just made a bigger mess.
Wait, like rips the.
Yeah.
It rips the lining.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
The way I do it, it's quick. I don't get any blood really past my hands.
Yeah.
No.
I've got an uncle who has to. Well, he's like, we call him my uncle, but he's like a family friend that we hunt with at rifle deer camp. His younger brother, he still has to get out of the stand and go gut his little brother's deer because the guy he's the gagger.
Yep.
So he can't. He'll start to do it.
Oh,
he'll
dude.
gag furiously.
If I hit those guts, which I did the very first time I gutted a deer, and I haven't done it since. If I hit those guts, man,
you're a smell guy. You can't.
Oh, the smell. Yeah, I'll just cover my face and just go faster. I don't even care if it gets clean at that
This
point.
weekend when I was finishing and I was trying to get all the intestines and everything out, and I went to go, I don't know, I mean, it wouldn't be the diaphragm, that'd be too high. I went to cut something and my knife just nicked a little bit of the intestine. And it was like at the end, so it didn't actually get on anything, so it was fine. But it was just enough where I got that smell.
Ugh.
And I didn't get it on my hands or anything, but I swear the rest of the day I was
could
around the
smell
house.
it.
That
You
was
could
all
smell
I could
it, yeah.
smell all day long. And I'm not like, it didn't gross me out or anything, but it was just enough where it's like, it was reminiscent of that smell. And I was like, oh. And what's funny too, talking about like being grossed out or gagging from it, my girlfriend's a PA and she's done cadavers and she's cut up humans and she's been in surgery and literally done surgery on people. And the second that I even like talk about a deer, like I brought the heart back and we were cutting it up to eat it.
Yeah.
And she was so grossed out by it. And I'm like, so you can cut up humans,
You just can't-
and that's
not-
fine.
not
But then the
mammal,
second
yeah.
it's a deer, it's a problem.
That's Bambi, dude.
That's literally what
Yeah,
she
it's
says.
Bambi.
That is,
Bambi.
she said the movie Bambi ruined it for her,
Oh,
and so I'm
come
trying
on.
to get her into it and be like, all right, she was afraid of fish the first time we filleted fish, and
Oh my
she
gosh.
wouldn't watch me fillet fish, and then at the end I was like, all right, no, you're gonna skin the fillet and you're gonna take the ribs out, and eventually she's like, okay, like she was doing it and it was fine. So I'm hoping a couple deer she'll get into it, but
My wife, up until like 2 years ago, I've been with my wife for 17 years. Up until like 2 years ago, she was so deathly afraid of fish that if I even like held a bluegill that I caught up by her face, she would start bawling. Full grown, completely irrational, just bawling, sobbing.
Ugh.
And we kind of just did immersion therapy. I came home one day when the bluegill limit was
There's
still 50. I came
Fish
home with
all over the house.
came home
In
with
her bed.
48 bluegill, and like, guess what? You're helping me clean fish today, and she's slow, but she gets them. She gets steaks off those little bluegill now. But yeah,
I love bluegill, but filleting bluegill is so tedious.
Yeah.
That's
I
why it
hate
has to be worth it. You have to have enough to make the meal worth
Yeah.
it. You have to be able to have a full fry.
10 is kind of if I can't come home with less than 10, one
Yeah.
dinner for me and my
10 to
wife.
15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not interested.
Yeah, we took 25 last time, and
That's a nice meal.
yeah, I mean
Yeah,
it was more than enough for a meal, but it's just, you sit there for an hour just, and I have an electric knife, and with bluegill, I always go between, do I want an electric knife? Do I want a flat knife? Because it's like the electric knife helps, but it's also too
Little
thick.
4-inch
messy.
fillet knife that Rapala makes. That's what I
Yeah.
do all my bluegill with.
Yeah.
Well, anybody else that had success with antlerless, tag us on social media, share it, email a photo to podcast@mucc.org. Love to shout people out and tell some stories. So
Or
if you have a
Tag us on Instagram at Michigan Out of Doors Pod.
Yep. So we'd love to help share those out there and celebrate with you guys that are also, and gals, who are having early season success and putting some meat in the freezer. So tag us, email us, and let us know what you guys are up to.
Hey, and it's not just early antlerless now. By the time
say.
you hear this, you'll have almost a week of bow season under your belt. So
What are the odds that by the time this podcast releases, you have another deer down?
me,
Yeah, you.
assuming I shoot straight, I mean,
That's a
pretty
reach.
high.
Did you ever get the scope rings for your new gun?
No.
Well,
But
now
I've
he's got to use his vertical bow.
But I've
which
been
he's
shooting.
got
Yeah, I've been
groups that
shooting
are
my
low
bow.
and right. He showed me photos of your
I had
target.
one
They're-
group low and white,
they're
but they
low
were
and
still
right.
all touching. I'm not worried at all about my bow. I mean, I'm gonna see deer, I guess. So where I hunt up north has APRs. Where I hunt down by my house, where I'll be hunting during the week this week, they're doing voluntary APRs. All the property owners got together and kind of agreed that they were gonna do that. So
you're in the Northwest 12 for your public land property?
So my dad lives in Kalkaska, and then my buddy has a place in Mesick where I spend a few weekends a year. So APRs are the law of the land up in both of those areas. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to put a number on it because I don't want to jinx myself.
Yeah.
What are
Good.
Your,
I mean,
What's your max yardage? What are you gonna? Where's your threshold?
probably 40.
Yeah.
I practice at 60. I don't really intend on ever taking a real world shot like that.
60's
But,
far.
but yeah, but I figure if I can practice at 60 and do well at 60, then it makes 40 a little easier. So I killed a buck a couple of years ago on this property I'm going to be at tomorrow at like 36 yards. He came in broadside.
That's a nice poke.
Broadside to my decoy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I will say that the chances that I have a quality opportunity at deer over the next week are probably 100%.
and what are your APRs you have to follow
3 on a side.
for
Three.
both?
Well, and then the restricted tag has the 4 on a side.
Yeah.
But 3 on a side. So, but I try and shoot every doe I see. Both. I mean, basically everywhere I hunt. The Mesick property and the door property for sure.
Did you get a doe tag, or are you gonna burn one of your combo tags on a doe?
No, I keep 2 doe tags in my pocket
Okay.
through rifle season
Yeah.
for that reason. So they have my buddy's place in Mesick is literally national forest on 2 sides, and the other 2 sides are commercial agriculture as far as you can see. So there's no shortage of does there. Same with my buddy's place in Door. Literally the entire section is agriculture. More does than I could ever kill in a lifetime.
Tag them and bag
So
them.
I try and do my civic duty and harvest.
So do you keep 2 at all times? Like if you go say you shoot 2 does this week, will you buy 2 more
Yeah.
tags? You'll always have 2.
Until the end of rifle season. Once December rolls around, I'll just keep 1 in my pocket. But
Yeah.
I try and keep 2 doe
Except
tags.
now you have even more time.
Because I've been at this place in Door where I've shot deer and had it run, or I could see it in the hayfield, and had other deer come in and shot deer there too. So I've shot.
Do you keep a turkey tag in your pocket? Is there a fall turkey where you're at?
So up north, no.
Not
there's
Kalkaska, yeah.
no fall turkey up there. But there's turkeys in
Yeah.
the fall, which is. But then the place that I hunt in Door, there is a fall turkey season, but we've never seen birds there in the fall.
Okay.
So they're there in the spring, but I've never seen them there during deer season. Otherwise, I probably would. But yeah, I'm super stoked. I'm gonna taking PTO all week to go hunt the mornings, work at home in the during the day, and then get out in the evening. So, and then Friday be headed up to Mesick for deer camp, first deer camp of the year. Well, first full blown deer camp of the year.
Steve, when's your first sit?
I was hoping to get out tomorrow morning and kind of do the same thing as I'm working that evening event. So I want to try and get out in the morning. And then, we're back in the office Thursday, but then either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I've got that new climber that I'm working with, that Summit, and just been tromping around Waterloo Rec area.
Have you been practicing with that climber?
I have. I've been practicing a lot because
You
I've
wouldn't
seen all the
practice in front of us.
Well,
Yeah,
I've
you
seen it.
wouldn't do
Well,
it for us.
because we were at camp cleanup and we had other things to do. But I'm excited to shoot out of it. It makes me way more mobile. Last year when I hung a stand, I kind of felt like I'd hung it in the wrong spot.
Have you been practicing shooting out of it?
Yeah, so I've been doing both.
Do you do the rope that you shimmy up your safety harness, shimmy up as you go?
It depends on where I'm at. If nobody knows where, like if I'm changing locations or if I am not where I said I would be, because I always have a buddy that we tell each other where we're going just in case something happens, and just kind of a general area we know where we hunt. If I'm way off grid on somewhere I probably wouldn't be found, I wear my harness as I climb, but 90% of the time, no. I just climb and then hook my harness up when I get up to the top. So
You realize that it's the sudden impact with the ground, not laying there, that's going to hurt, right?
I do, and I also know that
being
90%
able to
of
pound
tree,
it does not save
and
those.
most of the tree stand accidents are up and down. They're not when you're in the stand. They're getting in and out.
Right, they're getting in and out. I know.
Yeah, so I understand that, but it's a nice stand. I've actually really come to like it. Instead of just a normal lock on it, it just and I've got a couple accessories with it, that the backpack stuff, and it makes it easy to go. Get out there and go.
If you should hang, if there's private land spot, you should hang one of the big lifelines, so you can just shimmy your rope up the Prusik knot.
Yeah.
Wear your harnesses, kids.
Yes, always wear a harness. I do once I'm up there, and I'm not a crazy high sitter. I'm not like a big 30-foot guy.
Nope.
I don't want that steep angle on the shot.
What do you sit at?
I try and sit anywhere from 16 to 20. Nothing huge, but something that it's just it's going to be a good angle.
I just had flashbacks, PTSD. My dad, before ladder stands, before harnesses, was a skyscraper. And he takes me to this one spot one time, and I'm like 14. And I was not a big guy then. I didn't get big and fat until college. And I was this skinny little short kid, and I'm climbing this tree, and I get to this point where I can't reach anymore. And my dad's 6'4", and I look down at him like he's sticking around because he knew it was so sketchy that he was going to watch me climb into the tree. And I climb, and I get to the spot, and I go, Dad, I can't reach the next branch. He goes, just jump.
Jump.
So I jump and grab this branch like this, reaching up over my head, swing my leg up on it.
Keep climbing.
And then keep climbing, get in the stand. And so I sat in that stand until he came and got me that night. But getting down's easier, obviously, because you have gravity on your side.
Yeah.
But holy wow.
How fast you can go.
That was freaky. That blind, we called it Three Oaks because it was in the middle of 3 big oak trees.
I found a double ladder stand on public land one time when I was scouting. Somebody had taken a ladder stand and started it at the top of another ladder stand.
Jeez.
So
that's like 40 feet.
Yeah, the ladder went up, and where you sat, he had taken the seat out of it, and he had bolted the new ladder stand to that platform to have the ladder go higher, and then he sat in the top of that. And I dropped a pin on it, and I called it double ladder. And I think you remember showing me a picture of that. I would love to see someone actually get in it and shoot out of it, because it's way up there, but it overlooks a whole grassy meadow. Like, he's got a decent spot. He's just higher than hell. I've never seen anything like that.
I got a buddy that's like really into scent control, and he does the same thing where he'll put his stands up 35 feet because he's like, oh, they can't smell me up here. Yes. And it's like, see, I think there's a limit.
When you said double, I'm like, what, did someone just drag a big stand?
No,
yeah, that's what I thought.
He stacked two. He stacked two up, and I was like, okay, well, note to self, don't sit near this guy because he'll see you the entire time that you're sitting.
Yeah.
He'll
see deer.
You can see 3
50
miles
yards
every direction.
you can.
I don't know.
40 feet up.
That's so high.
And it's in a big tree. He's got lots of cover. It was cool. I mean, I was trying to find a spot, and I was like, all right. So I marked that and then moved on and tried not to get his area.
Yeah, you got to go 500 yards away from him.
At least. No, but bow season's going to be good. We've got until November 14th to get our bow on, right? Until the rifle season rolls over. And restarts back up later in the year as well after rifle season's done. And one thing that I was looking at in the regs is, while I appreciate and enjoy the new late antlerless season in January, it annoys me because I have to now wear hunter's orange during the late bow season, because the regs now read, if you are bow hunting during any open firearm season, you must wear your hunter's orange.
Really?
Does it really?
Yeah, go back and read it. It's
I'm gonna
saying
do it right now.
Yeah, so what I was looking at is because when I would hunt in January previously, because I live in one of the 3 counties that had the late urban archery thing or whatever, and it was nice because I didn't have to wear hunter's orange. But now during that January 12th to January 2nd to 12th, that late extended antlerless season, you have to, if you're bow hunting that week, you have to wear orange because you're hunting during an open firearm season. Same for muzzleloader though too. So if you're hunting if you're bow hunting during muzzleloader season, you've got to wear orange while you bow hunt. So it's just more weeks in the woods in orange and not just my camo.
Yeah.
So, but bow season's going to be good. Again, shout out to anybody who wants to share photos of success. I mean, as we're recording this today, it's the end of September. So maybe, by the time you hear this, send us some photos, tag us, Michigan Outdoors Pod on Instagram. podcast@mucc.org. Send us some photos. Send us your stories. These are great opportunities to be part of that member shout-out, that member highlight piece that we're going to be doing here soon. So if there's a great story to tell, if there's a great adventure that we can recap and highlight with a member of MUCC, always a great way to feed that to us.
Yeah, and anyone who has a really good story, there's always a chance that we bring you onto the pod and have you tell that story too. So just another reason to send us everything cool that's happened to you or that you've done, and get the opportunity to tell that live on the podcast.
But before we go back to the orange thing, is there anyone special we're having on to tell that story a little later today?
Yeah, so we'll be talking with Mike Avery later in the episode about his bear harvest. Really cool story with Mike. He's been bear hunting 4 years now. Finally tagged out on his first bear, and we'll be talking with him about that story, the adventure he had, and just everything else that's going on with Mike Avery Outdoors. So we'll have one of the legends, the OGs of the outdoor space, joining us later in the episode.
You've always had to wear orange hunting with a bow during a firearm season.
Yeah, well, I never did that. I mean, bow hunted during a firearm season.
Oh, okay.
I used
I
a
just
firearm.
never wore
Gotcha.
orange.
No, because like during muzzleloader, I'm going to carry them. I'm going to do muzzleloader.
Okay.
But my annoyance is that
I thought there was something new in the reg.
No,
it's not.
well,
It's just new going to
but that
affect
new
you.
season
Okay.
affects my bow season because
Gotcha.
it never was there before. Is what I'm
Right.
saying.
So I'm pretty sure
Well, yeah,
it
you
would
could
be
bow
a
hunt during
dereliction of
rifle
duty
season
if I didn't know that they changed the regs. But
if
they
you-
didn't change the regs.
You can bow hunt during rifle if you
Correct.
want, but you got to wear orange.
You got to follow the rifle rules.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that additional season now encroaches more into the bow, and just 2 more weeks I have to remember to wear orange while I'm bow hunting.
We can save the DNR some trouble too. You can carry 2 weapons during that late antlerless season in December. If you want to carry your crossbow with you to shoot a buck, you can. In addition
your
to a
cross gun.
rifle to shoot an antlerless deer. So you just have to follow the rifle rules, obviously. So you can carry them both though, because I remember when that first changed, I called and asked, "Okay, we're getting this 400 million times."
Yep.
Huh. Double up.
Double up.
Be like Rambo. Crossbow on your back, gun on your arm.
Yeah, actually, I would just usually I go to my buddy's place and we do our late antlerless weekend. And what I would tend to do is probably just leave the crossbow in the blind.
Yeah.
So
Not a
just
bad
to
idea.
Not carry it in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, deer season tomorrow. Today is the last day of not deer season for 4 months, and it's going to be sweet. And hopefully, every month we can talk about successful
Happy deer season
deer
eve.
season.
Yeah,
Eve.
you're
I'm
gonna
not going
run
to
it.
sleep tonight. The Lions play tonight,
Yep.
so I'm not going to sleep tonight. Between staying up too late watching the Lions.
So I'm going to put a prediction. By the time this airs, they will have lost Monday Night Football.
All right.
Yeah, well,
Relax.
Steve hates America.
Yeah.
and
No, I'm
freedom.
just not gullible.
The Motor City Dan Campbells
Gullible.
are
One good season doesn't make up for 30 years of
Tell
suck.
me you don't know ball without telling me you
Yeah.
don't know ball.
Okay.
Frank Ragnow's hurt, which sucks. And but the Seahawks, like 4 out of their starting front 7 are out too. So this is now a football podcast.
Yep.
Check
And
back for stats.
the Motor
And
City,
why, yeah.
the Motor City, fantasy advice. I am currently 2-1 in both leagues, and I won both my
Betting
matchups
odds.
this week. I don't think we can do betting odds, but well, it's a separate podcast. We'll have to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
As our career expands.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, Motor City Dan Campbell's tonight. Deer season tomorrow. I'm not going to sleep at all.
You're going to run on a PTO too.
No, I actually
He
did the
saves
math.
it all year long.
Yeah, I do. My wife gets so mad because she's like, "Your PTO's just for hunting season." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
She's like, "When are we going to go to Disney?" And I go, "Not during hunting season."
Don't go to Disney.
But we have an estimate PTO button in our
Portal.
HR portal thing where we request our time off and stuff. I don't know if you ever played with it.
No.
So I punched in how much PTO am I going to have by November 15th. And then I actually sent my wife a sticker with all the PTO that I'm planning between now and then.
So all of it.
So no, not quite.
Zero balance.
Yeah.
Not quite. It does not include any time that I take off after November 15th. So it's this week, November 14th and 15th for sure. And basically probably just random Fridays when the weather looks good or random cold fronts. My buddy's place has 50 acres, half corn, half hay, and he'll text me when the corn's down or when the corn is getting cut. I text Amy and say, I'm not going to be working tomorrow. And I go hunt the property and I kill the deer every year. They've cut the corn, either cut the corn across the street or cut the corn on his property for like 5 years now. So yeah, just random cold fronts, whatever.
My buddy in Jackson, he leases the land for cropping, and they have a really sketchy like trail back to one of the cornfields. And the farmer had come and he had harvested the whole field and he's pulling it out with his tractor and it's on one of those big wagon hoppers, like the tow behind hoppers.
Yep.
Thing got stuck, like dead stuck. He dumped like 2,000 pounds of corn on the ground.
Not bathing.
And so they were debating.
It is if they hunt over it.
Well, it is if they hunt over it. So they were debating on like where do they have to go, how far away do they have to be, can they really actually claim that the tractor got stuck and the farmer did this? I didn't do it. So it was funny because you went out there and it was just a pile.
That's a losing scenario.
Pile.
I mean, from an enforcement standpoint, if you're a CO and you go out and there's a ton,
the wagon was still
ton of
stuck.
corn.
The hopper was still sitting there for most of the season because they had to dry up. And so you could have been like, "Hey, I didn't do."
Yeah. I definitely didn't pay that farmer to get stuck.
Yeah.
I've never had that problem. I have been out there when they start to, I've been sitting in my tree stand and they started to harvest. And then last year I put a camera like 4 feet off the edge of the hayfield and the farmer still managed to run it over with his tractor. Like I was getting pictures and the last pictures I got were at like midnight of the tractor. And
just the big combine.
It was
just light. It was just a light with the tractor. And then the next morning there was nothing. I'm like, shit. And I went out there.
Shredded plastic.
Just all I found was one piece of plastic and the T-post that it was on.
Yep.
No,
and so that was a nice $75 down the drain. I need to replace that one because that camera was at the stand that had all the deer in front of it this morning. So I don't know what it was, but that stand always produces. I really don't need a camera there.
Well, good luck. I expect pictures.
I hope to send them.
And speaking of time off, I know something you will not be taking time off for: duck season.
I might if I get deer early enough.
No, you won't.
I don't want to sacrifice my primary source of protein for fish birds.
This is not a fish bird.
Yeah.
This is America's duck.
Hey, I want to get out there. I want to try it. I've never put any serious time into waterfowl hunting.
Well, we've got our honey hole. Get some geese, and we were just there on Thursday.
Oh, honey hole. Yeah. Okay. We have a place that we have access to that may or may not have birds randomly.
It does have birds. I can guarantee you that.
And
you
we're
were
going
to
to find
take us
out.
to the wrong side.
No.
I talked with the seasoned vets from that area.
No. Well, he showed me where to hunt.
He told you the wrong spot then. He told me the right spot.
We killed ducks last time we were there. Well, we can't breeze over Independence Hunt real fast.
Yep.
So the next upcoming season that's going to be is our Independence Hunt for hunters with disabilities. So October 17th through the 20th. Great time of year to get out and help those who have a disability or special need, get them out in the woods in the field and help them make a harvest and enjoy the same things that we love to enjoy. And, knowing that hunting is for everybody, great that we have this opportunity for those to get out ahead of the weather, ahead of some of the later season stuff, and get out there and have their opportunity to hunt. Which the changes that are coming next year are not set in stone yet. So we've heard a lot of feedback from our membership at MUCC about the changes to the Independence Hunt going to antlerless only. As we said in the last podcast, the commission is reviewing those changes, and in 2025 they'll revisit it. And they've gotten a lot of feedback as well. And so again, If you want to use your voice, reach out, talk to them, or join MUCC, and we can help carry that forward. We don't have official policy on it, which if you listen to Cal's Weekend Review, you heard MUCC reference there in this topic because it is getting a lot of news and a lot of press around the changes. But we don't have official policy on it, but convention is coming. So if you want to see MUCC have a policy on it, get your resolution. You got to be a member. Get your resolution in, and
Before Thanksgiving.
Yep, we will be maybe discussing it in March at our annual convention.
Well, it's the number one thing I've been getting calls on about deer season, the changes the NRC made. So a lot of people are saying they're going to write a resolution. Nobody has presented me with one yet. So it is not too late, but I am asking for resolutions by Thanksgiving so that I can prep them for our December 7th meeting. That is the last chance before convention. So
Time is of the essence.
I can't do it, folks. You guys got to. If that's something you're interested in. Either way, too. Any issue, though, November 20-something, before Thanksgiving is when I need the resolutions by.
So after Independence Hunt, as Tyler said, duck opener for the South Zone. It's already open in the UP.
Yep.
So we've got that rolling start as it goes downstate. So the UP North Zone is open. Middle Zone is going to be opening this week, next 8th, I think.
Yeah, it'll be
I'll be deer hunting.
next week.
Yeah, so the Middle Zone opens, and then for us down here, downstate, the South Zone opens on the 12th. And so Saturday the 12th is our general waterfowl opener. And we'll be out hitting that up and trying to get some birds, borrowing MUCC's decoys. And
I got new waders.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard you upgraded.
I did. Well, yeah.
The ones you wore the other day?
I returned them.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I got when I went and bought them, they didn't have any breathable waders.
Yeah.
So I went and got and they didn't have fat guy sizes, so I got normal. So I went in and I was like, I'm gonna go see what they have because I'd only really worn them the one time, and they were in good shape, clean. So I boxed them up, took them in, and exchanged them for some breathable stout size. So
You got fat guy.
I got
waders?
fat guy waders. I can layer under them better and hopefully not sweat as much.
Yeah.
Because the dock at camp came out flawlessly. Other than
Oh, yeah.
Logan not
Loosening
the
yeah.
tension knob on the post. Other than that, it went perfect.
Yep.
We did a great job. We replaced a bunch of engineers that usually come in and put that in for us. And
Yep.
we were all in, I mean, my waders are 5 mil or 7 mil.
Mine
So
were
I was
same.
dying.
Yeah. Yep.
I was
That's why I
sweating.
switched.
Very hot.
I aired them out and said, nope.
Yeah, so that's coming up. And then the last kind of thing that rolls out is pheasant season opening in the UP on the 10th and in the lower on the 20th. So if you guys are upland guys, good luck, enjoy. And again, call for photos, stories, engagement. If you guys are out harvesting ducks, harvesting pheasants, harvesting your deer, would love to see them, love to hear the story, and love to share photos. So tag us or email us, and we can get those out there and celebrate with you.
Get her done. It's the best time of year.
All right. Well, welcome back, and thanks for tuning into this episode of Michigan Outdoors Podcast. We are excited to bring on this week's special guest and to tell us a great story. A man who, in my mind, in the outdoor space, needs no introduction. The one, the only Mike Avery from Mike Avery Outdoors. How are you doing, sir?
Wonderful, guys. How are you?
We are good. We are good. It's been a busy week here at the office. The legislators actually worked a couple days the last few weeks, so we've got some things going on, and it's obviously bow season and bear season and small game season and duck season's coming, and we are excited to dive into a story you have, but I'd love to give you the chance to let our listeners know. I mean, I would assume everybody knows who you are, but love to give everybody a chance to get to know you a little more and just tell us a little bit about your history in the outdoor world and everything that you've been able to accomplish in your tenure.
Well, a kid grew up on the west side of the state hunting and fishing and have been blessed to turn it into a career. Been doing this for 40 years now. Started out in TV news, got out of that, did a television show that was on Sportsman Channel and Outdoor Channel for a while. Saw the light that outdoor television was not the way to make money these days, jumped over into radio, podcasting, social media. So I've been doing this for a long time. My show's on 33 stations around the state. Also do a podcast version of it. And my goal is to promote, it's a lot like you guys' goal, promote, do what I can to protect and preserve our outdoor lifestyle, because we grew up this way. I want my kids, my new grandkids, to grow up this way. And for the first time in my life, I feel like that's not necessarily guaranteed, and it scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, and that's I think that's why we partner and work so well together, just on the idea of protecting and conserving that outdoor heritage and letting the next generations have the abundance of what we have now, really. And so I'd love to ask you a couple of quick questions. When was your very first hunt, or what's your earliest hunt memory and your first harvest as you were growing up?
I grew up on a farm surrounded by fields and woodlots and swamps and woods, probably squirrel hunting. Squirrel hunting was the first thing I remember, going out there on a sunny September afternoon and sitting out there with a 22 or a shotgun. And my granddad always said, he said, if you can hunt squirrels, you can hunt whitetails. And it took me a while to figure out what that meant. But he was saying, if you can sit quietly enough to see a squirrel, you can sit quietly enough to see a deer. So my early memories are brook trout fishing on Cedar Creek. I know it's creek, but I'm going to call it creek till I'm dead. Letting night crawlers drift through the holes there and catching little 8-9 inch brookies, and squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting and pheasant hunting. And that was a pretty good way to grow up.
That sounds awesome. I think the farm life is something I'd like to take my kids out of the city and get them into, but have to run that one by my wife first. So might be a difficult transition. And yeah, as you mentioned, your new grandchild, congratulations on the little one that just arrived for you and the family.
Yeah, thank you. People were giving me grief. They're like, Avery, you love to bear hunt so much, and you've been waiting a couple of years for this hunt. Why are you only up there one day? Well, I didn't want to say anything at the time, but I only had one day because I had to get downstate, get down to the Detroit area, because my new grandson was going to be born. So I had, in 3 days, I got a bear and a new grandbaby. So it was a pretty good stretch right there.
That's a good way to end September, I feel like, if any other way.
It was indeed.
So take us through the bear story. Start with kind of, I know you've been pulling tags for a long time. You were talking a lot about, last time I've been talking with you, just about the prep and the preparation and what you've been waiting on heading up there. Talk us through this in the beginning about, how you came to be sitting in that stand.
I love bear hunting. My top 3 are bear hunting, turkey hunting, and walleye fishing. But if I had to pick just one, it would be bear hunting. I've hunted bears across much of Canada, Alberta, Manitoba, Quebec, Ontario, taken a lot of bears over the years, but I'd never taken a Michigan bear. I had 4 seasons of hunting. The first time I hunted with Gary Morgan of Wild Game Dynasty, I was hunting with a crossbow. 45 minutes into the first sit, a bear came walking by me. And at that time, it took me 9 years to get a tag because it was the first season. And I thought, there's no way in the world I'm going to let this hunt end after 45 minutes. So I let that bear walk by, and 2 hard weeks of hunting later, and I never saw another bear. But that was okay. I was prepared for that. Second time, the second season, was with Johnny Bowler, the bear whisperer. I was hunting with a recurve. I was 7 yards off the bait. We did have a bear come in, but at 7 yards, there's no room for error, and I never did get a shot. Third season, again hunting with Johnny. Never saw a bear. There was a big berry crop that year, and things just didn't work out. So I'm going into this season here a couple of weeks ago, my 4th season I had ever hunted. Really wanted a Michigan bear, and for some reason, I wanted to take my first Michigan bear with a gun. Of all the bears I've ever taken, they've all been either recurve, compound, or crossbow, and I wanted to shoot one with a gun. Maybe because it was a Michigan-made Brenton. Maybe because I had a new suppressor. I wanted to see what that experience was like, and I wanted to see what a gun, a 350 Legend, would do to a bear. So that was the setup for this hunt. I'm hunting the Newberry Bear Management Unit, the 3rd season, which starts the 20th. Statistically, traditionally, that 3rd season is not as productive because in the lower part of the state, the bears have been hunted by hound hunters, so they've gotten real smart. Some of the bears have been shot by then, and some of them have turned nocturnal by then. So to get a bear to come into a bait for the 3rd season is quite a challenge.
Okay, and so then in Newberry area, were you ground blind, tree stand? Did you have bait this year when you were hunting?
Yeah, I was hunting out of a ground blind. My first couple of years of hunting bears, I hunted out of a tree stand, and it was fun. It was great. But I learned that I wanted to be at eye level with them. I wanted to be up close and personal. I think that's one of the reasons why I like bear hunting so much. And these days now, it's always from the ground. I'm always hunting from usually a pop-up blind. I just like to be eye level with them. I like the fact that a blind will hide your movements. I mean, I knew I had one day to hunt, so I went out there at noon. I knew I was going to sit 7 or 8 hours. I can't sit still 7 or 8 hours. So if I'm in a blind, it hides that motion. If you get some rain, it protects you from the elements. So I just like hunting out of a blind. It was over bait. You know, here in Michigan, there's 2 basic ways to hunt bears. You either hunt over bait or you hunt with hounds. I support both of them because they're both legal methods of hunting. But I was hunting with Johnny, and he's a bait guy, so I hunted over bait. It was 70 yards from the bait to my blind, which was kind of a weird feeling for me. You know, I'm used to being right there, right in their face. You know, 7, 10, 12 yards at the most. So to sit back 70 yards with a gun was a different situation for me. I liked it. I enjoyed it. But I got to be honest. I think the next time I go bear hunting, I'm probably going to be 10 yards from the bait with a bow in my hands again. That's what I like.
A little more up close and personal next time then.
Not that hunting with a gun from 70 yards wasn't a great experience. It was wonderful. It was a very effective method of harvest. And I'm not dissing anybody who chooses to hunt with a gun at all. But I think I'm going to go back to bear hunting with a bow.
That's awesome. And then where were the other bears that you've taken out of state? You said you've gotten a couple other ones in the past.
I think I've taken 15 or 16 bears now. All with a bow in Manitoba, most of them in Ontario, and some in Quebec. So this is my first Michigan bear. And it turned out to be
awesome.
A great hunt. 7 o'clock, he came in from directly away from me. I knew that I was not going to be picky because I knew I had a one-day hunt. I had been teasing and going back and forth with Johnny Bowler. I said, Johnny, the first bear that walks in that doesn't have milk on his mouth, I'm going to shoot him. But then I'm praying that a 100-pound bear doesn't come in or a 125-pound bear doesn't come in because I don't want to have to make that decision. Fortunately, this was about a 200-pound bear. Very respectable, not a huge bear, but not a small bear, just a nice, solid Michigan bear. Came in, gave me the right shot. I hit him right behind the shoulder. He rolled forward, he somersaulted, rolled down the hill, and he was dead 12 yards from the bait. And then I got, which bear hunters will respect and love, I got the death moan, so I got the entire experience. So it was pretty cool, very cool.
That's awesome. What kind of landscape were you in? Was it like an open field cut? Was it hardwoods? Where were you stationed at with this take?
We were in the middle of a cedar swamp, but we were on some high ground that the property owner, the landowner, had actually put a few food plots in there for whitetails. So the bear bait was on one end of the food plot, and I was on the other. Bear never knew I was there. I posted video of it, and you can see the bear come in, and he's like, you know, he's sniffing. He knows something's not quite right, but the wind was in my favor, and he wasn't concerned enough not to come in.
Yeah, I know that I saw the video you posted on your Facebook channel. Is that correct?
Yeah, the video that when I posted, I said, warning, this is graphic. If this is going to offend you, don't watch it and don't give me any grief. It got more than 1 million views. It got more than 1 million views, 9,000 likes, 200 shares, 700 comments. The vast majority of the comments were, hey, nice job. I really enjoyed that. But then when you reach that many people, you're going to get some. If this was my podcast, if I would use a certain word, I won't do that to you guys. Yes. I got an unusually high number of the hardcore anti-hunters, which I expect. At least we know where they're coming from. But really negative, vile, vulgar, dirty comments like you should be dead. I'd rather kill you than see you
Yeah.
kill it. But that's the kind of stuff. And then the things that really bothers me, guys, is the negative comments from fellow hunters. Those are the ones that break my heart. I'm looking at one right now. Baiting animals and hunting them from a blind is like sitting on the couch and claiming you're a football player. If you hump an elk 15 miles through the mountains or stalk a mountain lion, then you can talk. There's no reason to bait. Real hunters don't bait. You all that bait are blank, beep. Baiting isn't hunting. That's the kind of stuff that breaks my heart, because we don't need that in today's hunting community, do we?
No, not at all. And it's tough to see the rift that kind of goes through the hunting community. I mean, we're supposed to uplift and support each other in all our pursuits and takes, and everyone has their own flair to it. Everyone has their own interest in it. But it is a sad day when we're tearing each other down, especially when we've got such a vehement, opposition from the anti-hunting side of the world.
Yeah.
So.
And it's not just. I thought a lot about this lately. Not this particular hunt, but this issue a lot lately. But this hunt really brought it into focus for me because there were other things surrounding this. It was a wonderful experience. I was blessed to be up there. Johnny did a great job, and I will go back in 2 years when I can get a third season tag again. But it kind of started. I was doing a live stream, my Behind the Mic live stream that I do Wednesday mornings, in preparation for this hunt. And I had my rifle, my unloaded rifle, in a case in the back of my truck. And as I'm walking around with my camera doing a live stream, I tilted down and I showed it. I said, here's the gun I'm going to use tonight. YouTube saw that. Immediately they cut the feed because, God forbid, I had showed a gun, right, in a YouTube feed.
Yeah.
Later on, I tried to post a video of me sitting over the bear, tagging it to TikTok. TikTok immediately deleted it. They said, no, community standards. You have violated our community standards. Now, you can put a 13-year-old girl with no clothes on there doing a very lewd dance, and that's okay. But you can't show an adult man sitting over a bear ready to tag it legally. That's the type of thing that guys...
harvested and and following all regulations and rules that tell you to tag it immediately and then, process it which way you want.
The culture that is out there that is so vehemently against what we believe, they are so intense about it. I mean, we, us three guys right here, we don't go to the anti-hunting pages and rile them up and stir them up and tell them they have to become hunters. Yet they will come to our outlets and tell us that we have to subscribe to their way of life. I don't get that different way of looking at things, and I will never accept it. We'll never accept what they believe in, but I'll never buy into their tactics and techniques either. I think it's an underhanded and dirty way to do things.
It is, and we also have much more important things to worry about than going to rile them up, right? We've got to set our base, we've got to scout our spots, we've got to hang our stands, and we've got to get our aim down for when we're taking our harvest and enjoying what we love to do outdoors.
And I often fall victim to this because of the position I'm in, and I try to reach as many people as possible, and I try to use as many outlets, podcasting, radio, social media. I probably stick my toe in that water more than the average person does, and I try not to let it bother me, but it does sometimes. Sometimes I need to take your advice, Steve. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the online stuff. Just go sit in a tree stand tonight and clear my mind and see if I can shoot a big doe, and don't worry about anything else. I should listen to you.
There's also other organizations that are trying to bridge that gap. While we were just at an event earlier this week before recording with the Michigan Wildlife Council, and their purpose is to promote the good work and the goodwill that hunters and anglers do in the state of Michigan through venison donation, habitat improvements, all the great things that we love to do around the state. And I thought that introducing them to the foods that come from the land was a great way. And there was some people there who had never touched a gun, never fished, never hunted. And they were really impressed at how delicious all of the harvest was, that we were with venison and lake trout and wild foraged mushrooms and all these kind of things. And so there are groups out there that are doing that work, and we want to support them too. But at the same time, with our lifeblood of being out there, we've got our time is better spent doing the things that we love to do instead of trying to convince somebody who's probably never going to listen to us, in my mind.
Right, right. We'll never convince the antis, but it's that 80% of people in the middle, right? There's the 10% of us on one side who are hardcore. There's the 10% on the other side who are hardcore anti. But then there's the 80% in the middle who are non-participants. They're not anti, but they're non. And I don't mean this in a negative sense, they are ignorant to the lifestyle because they've never experienced it. Those are the people I think that we have some chance of swaying. You talk about supporting groups. I also support the Michigan Wildlife Council. Since their inception, since their conception of the idea, I thought I need to be involved with those guys. Michigan Wildlife Council and you guys at MUCC. I always tell people, they say, wait, Avery, what can I do? Well, you can join a group like MUCC. Well, I won't have any say in it. Baloney. As you guys know better than I, MUCC is the one group where an individual person can get an idea, and if they are dedicated and they want to push it through, it can happen. So Michigan Wildlife Council, MUCC, I support both you guys. I think you're doing a great job.
Well, we appreciate that support, Mike. And just really, before we wrap up, what do you have planned for that for the bear that you got? Are you going to do a rug? Are you going to do sausages? Are you going to do bear grease? Are you going to render the fat? What are you going to do with that harvest?
Well, as I look around my office here right now, I do not have any room for another bear mount or another bear rug. So I actually am donating.
It's a good problem to have.
I'm donating the hide to a taxidermist buddy of mine, and the meat is getting made into burger and bear brats. Bear brats on the grill are the absolute best wild game I've ever had.
Yes, bear brats. We, Justin, our policy guy, he brought in some for us at the office, and they were probably one of the best things I've ever eaten was a bear brat. So you'll have to maybe save me one of those for next time I see you, once you get them back.
I think we can probably do that.
Awesome, Mike. Well, we appreciate you so much for hopping on with us this week on the Michigan Outdoors podcast, and we wish you all the best of luck the rest of these upcoming seasons. And we'll be talking to you soon, and see you on Wednesday Night Live here soon as well.
All right, guys, I'll look forward to it. Thanks.
The Michigan Outdoors podcast is proud to partner with Domain Outdoor. Domain hand selects the highest quality seeds and ingredients, so you can be confident when you choose Domain, you're choosing legendary products, performance, and customer support. I personally use Comeback Kid in my food plot, which is a cold season perennial and annual mix. I've had great success with it and highly recommend it. I actually shot my doe over a Domain Outdoor food plot last weekend. MUCC members get an exclusive discount at domainoutdoor.com with promo code MUCC10 for 10% off their order. Again, that's MUCC10 for 10% off your order. With Domain Outdoor, turn your property into a domain. This is your land. All right, and we've got some updates here at MUCC as well. We just had our new habitat program and partnerships coordinator, Olivia Trilch, start. She started last week, so she's going to be...
I think you pronounced her name right, too.
I think so.
I was hoping to correct you, but great job.
Nope.
Bonus points.
So she started last week. She will be the new point of contact for all things on the ground. And I've got some cool year-to-date stats for the on-the-ground program. So just as of this fiscal year, we have already done 26 projects. We've had over 638 volunteers, over 2,650 hours combined, improving over 371 acres of fish and wildlife habitat. And since 2013, we've had 241 projects, over 5,321 volunteers, with a combined total of 22,625 hours, improving over 4,000 acres of fish and wildlife habitat.
That's some good work, and it's important to remember, too, that these are really all-age opportunities. So if you have young people who really want to get engaged with conservation, if you have somebody who is passionate about river cleanups, dam restoration, invasive species removal, small game habitat, tree planting to native pollinators, these are all such great projects all over the state that you can come and bring anybody of all ages out. All abilities. We provide the tools, we provide the resources, we bring waiters when we're doing water-based activities, and so whatever you need, we really have for you, and just come on out and help us with OTG and helping us do more habitat improvement.
How's Amy phrase it, our habitat projects are what a group of people can accomplish on a Saturday.
Yeah,
they're meaningful projects that
you're going to put some sweat equity into it. We're not renting earth movers and backhoes and dozers and all that. We're putting hands on the ground, and we're using chainsaws, we're digging, planting, we're using loppers, and so it is really a meaningful day, a meaningful Saturday, or sometimes a Friday that we get out there and improve, the places that we love. And again, we talked about habitat earlier. Habitat is key.
Logan and I are the best volunteers that OTG's ever had. We made the best brush piles in the history of the Rose Lake State Game Area.
You disappeared for like 3 hours.
And they're the best. Yeah, they're just the best. I mean, I don't know what else to say about them.
No.
We followed directions explicitly. We put in a lot of hard work, and we made the most and the best.
You didn't even take loppers with you.
Yes, we did. How would you know? You showed up late.
I was at an event the night before.
There's the most and the best brush piles that Rose Lake has ever had.
Yeah.
Logan and I extend our heartfelt you're welcome to the state of Michigan.
Well, we thank you for your sweat equity.
Thank you for my service.
Also, it's important to remember that if you have a workplace that would like to have a culture of conservation, OTG is a great tool to get staff and employees and families out onto the landscape, and we can plan a specific event, or companies can tag on to our already existing events. And so making sure that if you want to be able to get hands-on with conservation with your volunteer workforce, or just even if you get paid time off to come volunteer, hit us up and we'll make sure we have an event that we can get more people out in the landscape.
Yeah, and if you're looking for an event, we have one coming up on the 18th of October. It is the Maple River State Game Area Mast Producing Tree Planting. That is in partnership with the DNR, and they will be planting a mix of crabapple trees to improve forage for wildlife, mainly deer. But you can sign up today, and that will be October 18th at the Maple River State Game Area. And then coming up, we also have our 2024 Youth Pheasant Hunt on October 13th. It is currently full. There is a wait list, so you can still sign up for the wait list. That will be October 12th from 9 a.m. to 1:30. That will be a safety briefing, practice shooting, and then there will be a hunt for all of the youth, and they will get to clean the birds afterwards. Hopefully everyone gets 3 to 4 birds a person. You do need your hunter's safety to sign up and to hunt. But just another great opportunity for the youth to get involved in hunting. And, pheasant hunting for youth, I assume, is something that doesn't happen super often. Mm-hmm. So just a great opportunity for kids to learn a new style of hunt and to hopefully harvest some birds.
Yeah, and this is in a cool partnership with Tails a Wagon. So it's a Tails a Wagon Ranch, I believe it is. But they've been a great supporter of MUCC, helping us host this youth event. And it's really a special day because everyone that's signed up right now was actually a new hunter safety graduate at camp this summer. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, when you get hunter safety certified, whether you do it in the spring or the summer, or even if you're in a rush at the fall to get ahead of the hunting seasons coming up, it might be a little while till they get out to have their first hunt. It might be might take a year, might take a few months until they're actually able to utilize that hunter safety certificate to be able to see what it's like to be a field, to harvest an animal, clean it, and then take that fresh protein home to feed your family. So this is really cool to where those kids that came to see us at camp over the summer, they're going to get out right away. So, camp only ended in mid-August, and, here's mid-October, and we're getting these students out there in the field, wing shooting, practicing, carrying their firearms correctly, being able to see the process from start to finish, from when you harvest to when you clean to when you enjoy. And so great plug for camp. If you guys want to be able to be part of this next year, the best way to be part of the youth pheasant hunt is to be a camper, because they get first dibs at the opportunity. And so 2025 camp season dates will be published actually very soon. So keep an eye out and get your young ones signed up to start their own outdoor heritage.
And the youth pheasant hunt is on private land, correct?
Yep. So that Tails of Wagon Ranch is a privately owned area.
Yep. So something great about those private pheasant hunts is you can go out before the season actually starts for public land. And we also have another opportunity for private pheasant hunting before the season starts. Steve, get into that.
Yeah, the 2024 Rooster Ranch Bonanza. So it's going to be a great day. It's in Ubley, Michigan in the Thumb. There's lodging available on site. So if you do have a bit of a drive, you can always come over the night before and get a really, really great room rate, stay in the lodge there. And we're going to be there for a full day. We're going to start at 8 a.m. We're going to have some sporting clay warm-ups and a big country breakfast. We'll get everybody checked in. We'll do our safety brief. We're going to head out to do a European-style hunt. Lots of birds for everybody that comes to the event. We're going to come back for a gourmet lunch in the clubhouse. We're going to have a great lunch. We're going to have some raffle prizes, some giveaways, and then we're going to head out for a field hunt where dogs will be provided for us. We're going to go out and clean up the fields, go have that field hunt and flush some birds, and then once everybody's back, we'll stow all of our firearms and enjoy a cash bar at the clubhouse as well. All the birds are prepped and cleaned for the hunters, so the staff at Rooster Ranch will take care of all that prep for us. And really, ideally, everybody should be going home with anywhere from 6 to 8 birds that day. The price is $325 to sign up. Registration is open right now, and it does not include your ammo, so you will need to bring your ammo, but that's all your meals for the day, your 2 hunts, and your warm-up clays as well. And so it's going to be a really great day. Bring some buddies, bring some friends. We can sign you up and have you in the same shooting blinds. We can make sure you're in the same field hunt parties. So if you have a group of guys that want to come, Friday, October 18th, and we're going to have a great day to kick this event off.
Bonanza. I'm determined for us to call an event a hootenanny.
So I've been trying to work these names into it, and when we had Camo and Conservation, we wanted it to be a hootenanny,
Yeah.
and we couldn't call it that, so I worked in Bonanza.
We're gonna get a hootenanny before too long.
We just need a banjo band and some beer.
We need someone with a bunch of shine.
Yeah, moonshine and
have-
PBR.
Have us a hootenanny. So that's my goal for an event upcoming.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you have not already, like, subscribe, share. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Good luck.
And follow us on Instagram at Michigan Outdoors Pod. Yeah, good luck to all the hunters out there. Again, tag us in all of your harvests.
Follow, tag, share.
Shoot straight.
All right. Thanks.